Hi, and welcome to this presentation on the Pareto Principle and its application in software testing. Well, the Pareto Principle is also known as the 80-20 rule and states that 80% of outcomes come from 20% of the causes, meaning thereby that 20% of the effort leads to 80% of the results. Let us go on to see who developed this principle. The Pareto principle was developed by an Italian economist and sociologist, Vilfredo Pareto, who developed this principle in 1896. Vilfredo Pareto noted that 80% of Italy's land was owned by 20% of the population. He then carried out surveys on a variety of other countries and found to his surprise that a similar distribution applied. Now, let us see the many application areas of the Pareto principle. So, first of all, let us see its application in economics. 20% of the world's population receives approximately 80% of the world's income. Coming to its application in computing, 80% of a piece of software can be written in 20% of the total allocated time. Conversely, the hardest 20% of the code takes 80% of the time. Next, let us see the application of this principle in occupational health and safety. It has been found that 20% of the hazards account for 80% of the injuries. So, if those 20% of the hazards can be addressed or minimized, 80% of the injuries can be prevented. Going further, let us see its application in the field of engineering and quality control. It is found that 80% of an issue is caused by 20% of the causes to quality issues. Next, looking at its application in health and social outcomes, it has been found that 20% of patients incurred 80% of healthcare expenses due to chronic conditions. This piece of information can be useful for the insurance sector. And now, let us go on to see how this principle was developed further by Joseph M. Durin, a well-known management consultant who developed it in the context of quality control and improvement. And it was in 1941 that after reading the works of Vilfredo Pareto, Joseph M. Durin applied it to quality control. Since testing is a process of quality control, so we will see how we can apply the Pareto principle for efficient testing. The purpose would be to utilize the resources effectively, efficiently, and economically to produce quality products. So now we will be looking at some smarter and faster testing with the Pareto principle. So the first thing that we would want to achieve in software testing is efficiency and focus. So the Pareto principle tells that 80% of the issues will be coming from 20% of the modules, which means that the defects are not uniformly distributed in the modules. Rather, defects cluster together. And defects clustering is one of the important principles of software testing. So knowing this, testers can allocate resources more efficiently and focus on the most critical parts of the software. The next point is risk-based testing. Well, 20% of an application's processes will potentially carry 80% of the business risk. So the Pareto principle suggests that testers can uncover most defects by concentrating their integration testing on these 80% of high-risk processes. Next, we will see the application of the principle to device testing. Test teams should focus 80% of their mobile testing effort on the most critical 20% of devices, ensuring they catch the most important issues. And now let us see how we can apply the principle for bug fixes. Addressing the top 20% of the bugs that cause 80% of the high criticality issues can significantly improve the software's reliability and user experience. Now, let us see the next point, that is test cases optimization. It has been found that 20% of test cases find 80% of defects. Therefore, testers can focus on maintaining and running these critical test cases regularly, while the less impactful ones might be run less frequently. Coming to cost savings as the sixth point, we see that the Pareto principle tells that you can focus 80% of your time on the top 20% of features that historically caused most post-release customer complaints, and the 20% of the time can be utilized to lightly test the remaining areas. This way, by focusing on the most impactful areas, teams can reduce testing and defect mitigation cost. It all leads us to infer that understanding and applying the 80-20 rule will help your projects produce better products and let you maximize your available resources. Thank you.